Welcome to Insights Over Espresso. We're where we explore innovative strategies for VCs and their portfolio companies. And I'm your host, Joe Maroney. And today I'm joined by Andrew Abraham, CEO of heybuddy. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Joe. All glory and honor be to the Most High, and it's a grand pleasure to be here and to just spend time with you and your audience.
Well, good. We're excited to dig in and get some great insights from you. Andrew, let's kick things off by telling us a bit about your journey that led you to found heybuddy, and what was the core insight that made you realize the e-commerce world needed a solution like Buddy?
For sure. Well, I started my entire life as an aspiring orthopedic surgeon. I thought STEM was going to be where I found my career, and even now I'm obsessed with all things science. And so I actually got the opportunity to go to college early. I was admitted to the University of North Texas at the age of 16. So I moved out of the house at 16, started studying honors
Oh, wow.
biology. And basically three things happened, Joe. One, I started a renovation company. There was a summer where one of my buddies called me over to work on the house. And by the end of it all, we're covered in paint and plaster. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, are you having fun doing this?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why don't we start a business out of this?" 16 years old, thinking where, when, and who I get to work with. And it was just an awesome time. So for me, that was like the first real stroke of entrepreneurship and what that could be. The next event that really happened was, I had a cousin that immigrated from Dubai. And when they got here, they didn't have the money to send him to a barbershop. So I was tasked with cutting his hair. And after messing him up numerous times and sending him to American school with a terrible haircut, I kind of picked up the skill and grew that into AA Cuts LLC. And that was a super cool experience. And the third thing really was, while I was at the STEM focused program, I got elected to be the business organization executive. So all three things, I got on my knees. I was like, all right, Lord, like, what do you want to do with me? And he led me to UT Austin because it was a top 5 business program. And Joe, when you get to a program like UT Austin, they try to groom me into becoming an investment banker or Big Four consultant. And what happened was I'd go to these networking events and it was awesome. I mean, these guys had the suits, they had the watch, they had all the metrics of earthly success. But when I met
Yeah,
them, I'd look at their eyes and go, "Hello, are you there? Like, where are you?" And so
yeah,
I
yeah.
quickly realized there was these investors called venture capitalists who'd write checks into entrepreneurs like me and were propelling technology. And so I fell deeply in love with venture capital. And how did I
Wow.
get to exactly where I'm at today? Well, last I got the opportunity to speak on venture capital investing and to be a speaker at South by Southwest. And in the crowd was the CEO of Sinless Treats Chocolate. So it's a metabolically healthy chocolate company. She offered me a director of sales slash CFO role. And this is really what inspired what I'm doing right now, Joe, which is I quickly realized when people buy anything e-commerce or CPG, they want clarity. It's that clarity of what they're buying that gives them confidence in not only buying it once, but again and again. And we
Mhm.
drive this phenomena through conversation, what we're doing. But how do you emulate that experience when brands are online? And, a founder like me and you, we can't be talking to the hundreds of thousands of visitors on our company website. So that's where we introduced heybuddy. heybuddy is a virtual shopkeeper that integrates into e-commerce and CPG websites to be there every step of the customer journey to answer questions, and for businesses act like a consumer consciousness tool. Because as you know, Joe, from your vantage point, companies spend thousands, if not millions of dollars figuring out how to communicate to their ICP. And so with our technology, we can cut that extra step and give insights exactly to what customers want to know in real time.
Wow. Fascinating story and fascinating what Buddy can do. So,
Absolutely.
so the market for AI in e-commerce is projected to explode truly from 9.4 billion to over 85 billion by 2032, which is phenomenal. And when you look at that massive growth, what do you think most people outside the CPG and e-commerce space fundamentally misunderstand or underestimate about the shift happening right now?
I would like to talk about this in two ways. One is for the emerging AI technology founder. Oftentimes we look around and we see that there's so many solutions happening in real time. And it's true because with AI, you can reiterate and get to market faster than ever in human history. And so we see that as like a daunting challenge. We see that as something to not engage in the problem that we're trying to solve. And I don't believe in that. I've spoken to many AI entrepreneurs who have had successful exits. And what they tell me is even if somebody's working on something similar or identical, keep working on it and you'll find something within it to service your ICP. So one, I would just say, to the new founder, hey, don't get swayed from what you're trying to work on. Even if it exists, you will find a way to make it different and better. And then the second thing is to all of the legacy companies and to maybe the older generation. It's trying to view this new idea from not a modality of scarcity, but abundance. When we talk about AI, it's always the conversation goes to, oh, it's going to replace and it's going to destroy humanity. And quite literally, it might do that. But there is so much abundant opportunity within whatever space you're working in to implement that in your workflow. Right now, where AI is at is really good at, replacing the reiterative tasks that, and redundant tasks that humans don't want to do. I'm actually working with a lawyer right now to develop a tool that works as a persona for people to come and get legal advice before they hop on a consultation call. So I would just say open up your perspective, find ways quickly to implement within your company, and don't fall behind. And I think my last, sort of thoughts here is it's like you can resist the change as much as you want to, but what that's really like is saying, I don't want my company to implement www dot or be on the internet. So learn that this is the new technology. This is the new evolution of commerce and information, and adapt, and it'll be a good time.
Adapt or be gone. So HeyBuddy's core pitch, and you alluded to this, is turning common product queries into confidence. But beyond the instant 24 by 7 support, what's the single most critical element that Buddy uses to build more confidence and ensure a conversation actually leads to a completed purchase rather than just an answered question?
Yeah, 100%. So I would like to kind of shed some light on like the three types of chatbots you may or may not have came across. So like the first is simple chatbots, right? So you have, you click on the chatbot and it has three options and then it has like a pre-recorded response and it gives it to you. Then you have like smart chatbots, which act kind of like Siri. That's the best way to think about it. And then you have hybrid chatbots that are somewhere in between. So the core functionality is, and the spirit behind what we're building is to have a truly agentic virtual shopkeeper, able to mimic or emulate the human experience. And the best way I can kind of paint a picture in the audience's mind is think about when you walk into a store, and maybe a store you've been to. That could be a convenience store down the street, or maybe, Joe, where you get your suits from. When you walk in, the person that's working behind the counter says, "Hi, Joe, how are you doing?" And they remember things about you. That's what
Right.
creates this human-like feeling. And based off of what they learn about you, they're able to provide the right answers for you. The problem that a lot of chatbots have is they try to just be a universal solution, a one size fits all. So, and also to shed light on the B2B side, it's being able to personalize the tone and the method in which the chatbot actually communicates. So those two things really is understanding the consumer and being able to provide personalized recommendations. And then on the B2B side of things is to be able to have and capture a company's brand, tone, and voice. And so those are kind of the two core components that I see, right? Because we have to think about the end user in mind, but also our customer. And so those are the two elements that I think of that we really have to dial in through agentic functionality.
Okay. Nice. So the research we've done shows that, 62% of consumers prefer instant,
That's
you
right.
know, AI driven support. I mean, it's all, forget the delayed gratification.
I want it now.
I want it now. That's right. So how is this demand for this instant gratification fundamentally changing the way e-commerce and CPG brands must approach their customer experience strategy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I think about it, and where if you're an e-commerce CPG founder and you came to me, it's going to sound very, very simple, but it's very important that you dial in on this as a company. You have to be able to place the idea of your service or your product all the way to delivering it in the most easy way possible. Let's use DoorDash as an example.
Hmm.
You click a button and it's delivered to your house. There wasn't extra frills. You see clear pictures of what you're going to buy. You see the clear what's inside of it. You see the price. And so if e-commerce and CPG brands can guide their leadership with this type of spirit of ease of use and understanding how their end user doesn't want to have extra steps. If you can make that as easy as possible from like a UI UX perspective from your website all the way to customer service, you've got something there. You've got something really great. And then the other big thing that we have to think about in this emerging market is how can we use tools like AI to continue the conversation even after transaction? So how are you communicating with the customer? How are you making sure that they feel seen, heard, and loved, and they didn't have any problems with your product or service? And the biggest thing there is being able to create a really efficient loop of information between customers from pre-purchase all the way to after. And so when you can really dial in on things like that, you make it super fast and easy for your consumer to consume,
Yeah.
keeps them coming.
That's amazing. As you were saying that, what came to mind is I shop at Nordstrom's a lot, and you mentioned use AI to kind of follow up after the purchase and find out how is everything. I've spent a lot of money at Nordstrom's. As a matter of fact, everything I wear is Nordstrom's. I mean, it's hysterical. I've never had anybody after the sale call me and say they're great in the store. I mean, I
Mhm.
put them up there like right at the top with the Ritz and a lot of others that have created that brand. I like your comment about using AI to kind of follow up. Was That's pretty good. Let's kind of talk about AI chatbots a little bit since that space is pretty competitive. We talked about this before. I'll ask you again since now we're recording it for the audience. There's some big players, HubSpot and other specialized solutions. So help the listeners really understand how HeyBuddy overcomes the dual challenge of standing out in the market while also convincing skeptical or brands that could be skeptical about the reliability and the ROI of a fully automated, I'll call it brand customized conversational AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a fantastic question. I think one of the things that we have to think about here is most chatbots are built with the focus of support and post transaction in mind. So a lot of them will try to prompt you into putting your shipping and tracking information. What we've built at HeyBuddy is a pre transaction conversion tool for companies to employ. So the spirit of that is slightly different. The way that we're building it out is different. The other thing I want to mention here as well is our focus, our niche. We are focused on e-commerce and CPG specific. So with our solution, you're going to have integration into Shopify. You're going to have different features that play a role with your core infrastructure that your business is built on versus the HubSpot chatbot that you mentioned. That's centered around the HubSpot CRM and not the infrastructure that your business is actually built on.
Mhm.
The last thing I'd like to mention as well is the chatbots that are out there are focused on solving the chatbot problem. We as a company are focused on creating a consumer consciousness tool. What we allow businesses who employ our technology to understand and have access to is insights and analysis on the customer itself. And that's something that is really novel that we're really excited to build out. And in doing so, we're going to be able to create a slew of different options that businesses can do. And just to kind of, this is a spoiler alert for what we're working on, but imagine you're the solo entrepreneur. You have a great e-commerce brand. You're wearing a whole bunch of hats. Imagine if within Hey Buddy, your content for marketing and sales was already being developed in real time by AI based on the conversations your customers are having, and you get to see exactly when and what your customers are thinking. That just it kills the need for a support person, which is what a lot of chatbots are. They're an extension to the support. Creates a ticket, then they'll hit you up in the email and say, "Hey, we saw that you were talking to our chatbot. How can we help you?" So you take that need out. You can have processing of returns and shipping and all the logistical problems. But in addition to that, you have curated content that's readily available for you to put out on your LinkedIn, put out on your Instagram and TikTok. So that's the ways that we're differentiating ourselves as a product. And again, I really want to hit home with the fact that we're building a consumer consciousness tool, not just a simple chatbot.
I like that. Consumer consciousness. So, hey, buddy, you mentioned users typically see an average increase of 23% in conversion rates, if not sometimes higher. Can you share a specific example, an example or use case of a CPG brand that used Buddy to solve a complex information problem? And what was the measurable outcome?
Yeah. So one of the CPG brands that have interest in us, shout out to Sinless Treats Chocolate, what they're really focused about is being able to communicate how the chocolate is differentiated from any other chocolate company in the world. And it's really important to understand why that's true. So there's three things in this company. One, it uses no sugar in its chocolate, unlike your Hershey's and Godivas of the world. It uses no sugar. Secondly, there's no artificial dye or flavor within the chocolate. It's all purely organic and natural. And the third thing, this is the kicker, Joe. Unlike any other chocolate company in the world, if you were hooked up to a blood glucose monitor, your blood glucose levels would gently decrease instead of increase. And that's one of those things that you have to understand before you pay that premium. And so by employing technology like Hey Buddy, companies like Sinless Treats Chocolate can efficiently and effectively communicate to their end user and capture that information cascade right there. And then knowing that when you eat the chocolate, when you enjoy the experience and you feel better, it was off of the framing of the conversation you had that guided your thinking. And so if you're an e-commerce or CPG brand out there that cares about your customer and wants high net retention, you want to employ a technology like HeyBuddy that basically pre-sells before the sale and gives them all the clarity in what they're about to experience. So that's a great example of how it can be useful to an e-commerce or CPG brand. And if you're a CPG or e-commerce founder out there, I'd love to help you.
Wow, that's great. Think I'm gonna run out and get some chocolate now.
Use my code name and you can help me out as an affiliate for the company.
To scale HeyBuddy, you need to really efficiently identify and onboard new e-commerce and CPG brands. So what stage is HeyBuddy in right now, and what does growth look like over the next 12 months?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, in the last 5 to 6 months, we've gone from ideation to creation to having an actual serviceable product outside in the market that we're currently selling to. And as far as the next 12 months, what I envision is I want to be, and this is also with respect to financial metrics and how I think about, the future of my company. But in the next 12 months, I would like to have at least 100 to 200 different CPG brands who are using our technology. And I want to hear well over 200 customers from these businesses, each of them being able to say, "Hey, I really enjoy the experience." So that to me is like a high level metric of success over the next 12 months. And then on top of that, what I'd love to see is, companies actually benefit. I think there's a lot of AI tools out there that are a lot of noise and not really signal. And I'm trying to build something that's founder focused, founder first. And so if I could have well over 200 founders come back and say, you've done exactly what you promised and more, that to me is the win over the next 12 months.
Excellent. So looking at that, 200 brands that have said, "Hey, thumbs up, Andrew." In your current lead generation or demo to client nurture workflow, what's the biggest bottleneck you're experiencing today?
I mean, one of the biggest bottlenecks is, as a company that's being bootstrapped, it's like I wish I had 10 SDRs and 10 AEs. Right now, it's a lot of me and a few interns that are doing the work here. And one of the
Mhm.
biggest things that I do in my sales process that I think other entrepreneurs should really do is think about providing free value and show before you tell. And what does that mean for me at Hey Buddy? Well, Joe, what I do is I pre-train the knowledge base. The knowledge base is as good as, the information we get, but before hopping on a call with anybody, what I'll do is I'll take all the information readily available on their LinkedIn and website and anything else I can find,
Yeah.
train the actual bot instead of sitting here convincing you what the value proposition is. I'm just going to go ahead and show you. I'll either send you a Loom video in your LinkedIn inbox to say, "Hey, my name's Andrew. I built out a personalized AI chatbot for your company. I'd love to show you in the next 2 minutes of the value proposition." Or if you happen to hop on a call with me, that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to show you what we're selling and why it's priced at where it's priced instead of trying to convince you. Because I'm not in the game of convincing. I'm in the game of curating actual opportunity,
Yeah.
experience, and value. And so I think that's a really important thing is make sure to provide free value, show before you tell, and then build that relationship from there.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That comes from that servant leadership heart that you have.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that's correct.
Sounds like you've had an incredible journey so far. Hypothetically, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one major challenge, you talked about the fact that you need 8 SDRs and other people because you're a one-man army right now. Um, if you wave this magic wand and fix one major challenge that's currently holding you back or slowing down your growth, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, I mean, like every entrepreneur that's bootstrapping, the short answer is obviously cash flow. But the real answer to me and what's worth more than money is, especially as a founder who is deeply, deeply motivated by the problem I'm solving, is people. When you can find the right talent, the right people around you, money's no factor, right?
Yeah.
Individuals who have agency and they're proficient on their own. That's a very difficult thing to do. And companies spend millions and thousands of dollars trying to do talent acquisition, and above talent acquisition is retention. And so I think the people challenge, especially given where we're at, that's
Yeah.
probably the biggest thing. I would love to have my co-founder, Christopher Gale, who's an incredible software engineer. He's cracked. He's awesome. Have more support on the team and have a whole bunch AI architects that are super nerdy and interested in what the technology that we're building. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge right now. So magic wand, I would have 20, 40 Steve Jobs in my organization, and we would all work together in the best way possible.
For founders and CPG leaders listening, what's one piece of actionable advice you would give them today about leveraging AI to reduce cart abandonment and create a truly scalable, personalized customer journey?
Yeah, quick answer is join us at www.joinheybuddy.ai. But no, in all actuality, what I would say to the CPG founder, let's, kind of shed some light on the experience of being a CPG founder. There's really two routes. Okay. One is the traditional route, which is you raise a whole bunch of money and then you can go out there and just get the word out. And that's what you do. Given the current fundraising environment, most CPG founders today, especially emerging CPG founders, will probably find themselves in category B, which is you have a great idea for a CPG product, you're bootstrapping the company, and you've probably got your first version out there or actually in hand. And so what the journey is there is being local, finding the farmers markets, finding your local grocery stores. And basically at this stage of your company, it's all about the retrieval of information and feedback. So to your question, how would you utilize AI and have a full stack? It's make sure that every step of the way you're able to capture those insights and data, and then also be able to do analysis through AI. So let me just give you a quick example. If you decide not to use HeyBuddy, totally okay. But let's say you're selling at a farmer's market. Have a QR code where people write their thoughts. Get 30 people at the farmer's market to just give 500 words on what they thought about your product. Maybe ask them some prompted questions, and then run that whole file through ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, imagine you're a CPG founder. Here are 30 conversations you had with your customers. Provide insights and next steps. That's the easiest way that you as a solopreneur or a lean, clean startup machine can utilize AI and then implement that. Because then that affects the way that you're doing customer acquisition. That affects the way that you're doing sales and marketing. Like,
Mhm.
it affects the whole chain of your business operations. And that's a really easy, low lift way of using AI in your operations.
Thank you. Where can people learn more about Hey Buddy or get in touch with you and your team?
Well, you can email me, Andrew at joinheybuddy.ai. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. Please visit our website. And if you are a CPG or e-commerce brand or founder listening, at the end of the day, besides getting you hooked up with my technology, I want to meet you. I want to learn about your story. One of the biggest motivations for me is sitting down with CPG founders, and a lot of them will say, I'll ask the question because I'm really curious as a person, not what people do, but why they do it. And so I'll
Mhm.
ask a lot of CPG founders, why are you doing this? And a lot of them have amazing stories. And so I want to sit down and learn your story. I want to spend time getting to know why you're doing what you're doing. And let's find ways that, even aside from Hey Buddy, that I can support you, whether that's helping you fundraise or just go to market. I'd love to just communicate with you and exchange ideas. So you can, again, find me on LinkedIn. You'll see me in the big banner in the background, or you can just reach out to me directly at Andrew at joinheybuddy.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. That was fantastic.